Hi everyone, my name's Lily, and if you didn't know, it is Librofm of the month time. That is such a weird name for it. But anyway, I'm going to be chatting about the Librofm picks I have for May that are on sale. If you're new to this channel, to this video format, to whatever, I guess, every month I go through the Librofm sale picks and I tell you my favorites and I tell you what I would recommend and also what is in my cart. This honestly is just an excuse for me to buy more audiobooks. All of the links down below are affiliate links, so if you don't want to use them, just search them on Librofm. It just merely helps fuel the amount of audiobooks that are already in my cart. If you don't know what Librofm is, it is an independent audiobook subscription service. So basically, it is not Audible, and every month you can pay $14.99 for one credit that gives you one audiobook. And because of that, if you're an active member, you get an additional 30% off of sale books. You can also buy any book or even sale books a la carte, and you'll own them forever. They are DRM free. You just need an account. You don't need a paying account. You just need an account. But of course, if you're an active account, you get 30% off additionally on sale books. Every month, they have two curated playlists. They are curated. They are not just kind of every book that falls into this category. The first one is romance. The second one is YA picks. So I'm going to be chatting about those two playlists and also just general new sale audiobooks. So in terms of the Kiss Club playlist, not that much this month. Pretty disappointing. YA, fire. Kiss Club, not so much. But I just want to mention Earl Crush. I've mentioned this actually last month, but Earl Crush is the historical fiction romance Regency period book. I have not read this, but I think that this one is basically a... Oh yes, this is the one where a stranger shows up on a duke's doorstep, Earl's doorstep, and has a proposal for an inconvenient connection to espionage. I will leave all the links obviously down below, but if you're a fan of historical fiction romance, Regency romances, definitely give this one a shot. I own this one, but I have not read it yet. Please, the shame starts so early on in these videos. The next one is Soul Hate, which is also my TBR, which I have not read. It is actually a play kind of on soulmates, and so the tagline for this is, what if you fall for the one you are fated to destroy? This one is high on my TBR. It's also in my cart, even though I own an e-copy of this one through NetGalley, but I'm really excited for it. The whole review section of this are kind of just NetGalley reviews. So intrigued by this in general. It's also by, I think, someone in the bookish community, maybe an owner of a bookish merch store, I think. So extra intrigued. The next one is The Roommate Risk by Talia Hibbert. I've mentioned this a few different times on the channel. Talia Hibbert's one of my favorite auto-buy romance authors, and The Roommate Risk has been on sale a few different times, but basically there are these two roommates, and so he obviously loves her, but she moves in. Trouble. And the final one is A Lady for a Duke, which is fantastic. This is the only one I've read on the list. And A Lady for a Duke is so, so good. It is also a historical fiction. Is it Regency? It takes place around the time of Waterloo. They have dresses on the cover. I feel like it could be Regency, but actually, now that I say Regency, I don't really know what the definition of that is, and I don't know if I can go on that rabbit hole with you in this video. But anyway, it's certainly a historical romance, and it is queer. It is fantastic. I love it so much. Basically, it features these two characters, and it has a trans romance within it. Basically, there's a sort of second chance friends reconnecting romance aspect to it. It is just so, so good. Honestly, it makes me kind of want to reread it. I rarely reread books. I rarely reread romance books, but honestly, it was one of my favorite romance books of all time. So I'm so tempted right now. And I didn't listen to an audiobook, so I'm even more tempted. Anyway, that is the last pick for the Kiss Club list. Now I'm going to go into the YA Club list. Honestly, I basically am making these videos for myself. I don't know how many people are really enjoying them, watching them, or loving them. So I feel like every time I film these, they get a little bit more unhinged, a little bit more diary style. And so whenever someone does decide to watch these videos or does decide to watch them fully through, they're going to be in for a treat. The YA Club list had so many books. Actually, you should get a drink right now, because not only did the YA Club have so many lists, these sale audiobooks had so many lists. I've actually moved the mic up closer because I feel like I'm losing my voice with talking, and it's only going to be worse by the time this ends. But anyway, Dead Things Are Closer Than They Appear is on the list. This is kind of a play on The Chosen Ones. I really, really loved it. It features an adopted character, I'm pretty sure. And it has this idea of these chosen ones. Basically, all of a sudden, monsters appear in their small town. It's a contemporary fantasy, and they have to figure out, since they are the chosen ones, what to do. So I really, really loved this one. It has magical fault lines. It has a play on the chosen ones, contemporary fantasy settings. It's one of my favorite. Where is my cup? I can't see my copy, but I really, really love this one. Next one is Battle of the Bands. I have mentioned Battle of the Bands before. It's a multi-narrator audiobook narration, which is why I always mention it when it's on sale. It has so many different narrators. Basically, it's just this idea of a Battle of the Bands night, and each is a short story anthology, and each one of the authors takes one perspective, and they all come together to work with this synergistic Battle of the Bands energy and one night, and so that makes me really love it. I love when a short story collection has this synergistic movement, and it makes it feel really connected. The next one is The Kinsey Project, which is on my TBR. I really loved Jessica's previous book, so this one has been on my TBR for a while, and basically she tries to get an internship, and she finds out that she needs to plan a party. Yes, she needs to plan a party to get more experience for the internship, and then she finds out that she starts catching feelings throughout that process. So very excited for that one. Now Conjurers, I actually did listen to this one on audiobook, and I really liked it. It's set in 1999, so is that historical fiction now? I hate that, but maybe it is. I liked this idea of found friendship and a friendship group. It also has a queer romance or queer element to it. Is it like a romance? I guess so, because the main character was a secret boyfriend of someone who dies in it. So then he's also struggling to process his grief. If you really like contemporary fantasy and you also love this idea of the dead not really being dead, and if you love this idea of witches, then you have to read that one. The Dark We Know is on sale. I loved The Dark We Know. If you love this idea of the past never staying buried and having to come out, like feeling like these ghosts are compelled to speak, and also family trauma and family memory, The Dark We Know. 100% for you. I loved it so much. It has this kind of small town vibe, but the small towns always have secrets. They always do. And it also has family secrets as well. It's also queer. Like, it's just so, so good, and I love it so much. Raybearer is also on sale, which brought me back. I have not seen Raybearer in forever, but I really liked this one. It's also the beginning of a series, I think a duology. And I really liked Raybearer because it looks at power. These are all characters, I think are all like, they're trying to be members of the council, I remember. I'm confusing the sequel of Ray Bear and Ray Bear together. But I really loved the world specifically. The world in this one was so unique. And so if you really love a YA fantasy with a really unique world and also this idea of destiny and choice and agency, I would definitely recommend Ray Bear. Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Rise of Kyoshi is on sale. I've not read all the Avatar books, and I also have not seen all the Avatar, just basically half of the series. I know, I can't get into it, but basically, yes. It is the first of Kyoshi, because I think there's a sequel to it. To the Kyoshi, I think, as well. Like, there are a bunch of these Avatar origin stories. Is there a sequel to it? Yes. The Shadow of Kyoshi. But anyway, I really liked this one a lot. It was the first one I think I read in these shoot off series, and I just really enjoyed it. It brought me back to the nostalgia. It also brought me back to the world, and I've always kind of been really intrigued about previous Avatars. So if that's you as well, you should recommend it. You should recommend it. Oh my gosh. You should read it. The next one is The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. If you've been following me for a while, you know that Axio is 100% kind of just an auto-by-author for me. This was Axie's first fantasy book, and I really loved it. Basically, it follows a girl who makes a sacrifice to help her brother and his love crush, but they're not betrothed. He basically loves her. She is not her, the sister. He basically loves this girl. She is going to be sacrificed for the sea god. His sister decides to sacrifice herself in planes, and then she discovers all of these different things about the sea god down below. So I really loved this one, and as I said, Axio, 100% auto by author. Love in 280 characters or less is on my TBR. I'm really intrigued by it. It has some really great comp titles, so Emergency Contact and From Twinkle with Love. Obviously, it talks a little bit about Twitter and X. I think it's going to be two people who meet on there. They have blog posts, tweets, messages, and emails. It just looks really, really fun. It looks multimedia-esque, and it is by the same author, I think, who did Love something chocolate. Love Requires Chocolate, which I really loved that, and I love the series of that one. So really intrigued by Love in 280 character or less, and that's actually in my cart now. Internment by Samira Ahmed is one of the things I'd recommend. Not only is it really, really timely right now, specifically because at the time it's set in a near future US where there are internment camps for Muslim American citizens. Unfortunately, it just is feeling like basically now it feels dystopian because it is dystopian, but also our world feels dystopian. Please don't get me started on that one. But anyway, I really love this one. I'm a huge fan of Samira Ahmed's books in general, and this one is one of my favorite. I don't know what my favorite Samira Ahmed book is. Samira is so talented at all of these like multi-genre, multi-story shifts. Mad, Bad, Dangerous to Know, historical fiction, like dual perspective, dual timeline. Hollow Fires, also with like a speculative element. This kind of near dystopian future. All of Samira's books, one after another, are so great, and I would definitely recommend if you haven't read it and you can also handle a little bit of this dystopian setting. We also have Love Radio, which is on sale. Its two comps are Hitch meets The Sun Is Also a Star. Basically, there's this guy and he gives out advice on Love Radio, and I'm pretty sure he's always dreamed of becoming a DJ and falling in love, but he's a main caretaker for his mother, and he also ends up meeting his love interest, and she does not want to get derailed. She also wants to go to college in New York City. Sparks fly, but also tension there. So I would recommend that one. To Steal from Thieves is on my TBR, mostly because MK Lob Seven Faceless Saints, one of my favorite kind of unique magic systems. To Steal from Thieves obviously has a heist. It's the beginning of a duology, beginning of a series at least, and I'm really excited for this one. Features an alchemologist, and a con man. They team up and they're going to steal a necklace. This has kind of skyrocketed to the top of my backlist TBR, mostly because I really love heists. I'm in a heist mood recently. And I'm really intrigued by this one, and I really liked MK Lob's previous books. In the Company of Killers is on sale as well. I recently read this one. If you like this idea of star-crossed, The Sopranos, Gossip Girl, mafia style books, then you definitely should read this one. It's about a mafia heiress. She's trying to avenge her family, but there's obviously a handsome enemy at play who is the heir, I guess, to a different rival mafia branch, I guess. And so she has to figure out what to do about that. It was really fun. I enjoyed it a lot as well. It was set in New York, and which is nostalgic for me because they mentioned some other parts that I kind of grew up around those parts. No, not around those parts, but I recognize certain names of those. So I really enjoyed that one. Now we're going to talk about sale books. Oh my gosh, there are a lot of sale books. But now we're going to talk about sale books. And the first one I want to chat about is Song of Solomon by Toni Morrison. Toni Morrison is such a great writer. I loved Beloved. I have not read Song of Solomon, so that one is a TBR for me. But I wanted to mention it. If you've never read a Toni Morrison book, this might be the chance to start. As I said, it is also a sale pick for this month. Monday's Not Coming is on sale. I loved Monday's Not Coming. It is my first Tiffany Jackson book I ever read, and it is so good. The character work and the idea of reliability and narrator in Monday's Not Coming is fabulous. Like, it is probably my favorite Tiffany Jackson book, and I've read a lot of her books before, and I really, really loved it just because it manages to balance mystery and thriller and character development in such an intriguing and fascinating way. So good. Air by Sabaa Tahir is on sale. This is the next sort of shoot-off book in the Ember and the Ashes, but it was really good. I did not know what to expect, honestly, in this one because I have not read an Ember and the Ashes in a while, and also by the end of that one, I still enjoyed it, but it wasn't like top by the end. In the last one, A Sky, the purple one. But Air was really good. It features multiple narrators and also multiple POVs. And basically, I really loved seeing these three characters, very, very different characters at very different points in the world and kind of their own characters' struggles and journeys, figuring out what the best way forward is, what the best way to change is. So if you like that theme, definitely check this one out. Also, if you like the An Ember and the Ashes quartet, I think, then it's a no-brainer. Single Player is on sale. I really loved Single Player. If you really love video games and you kind of like the idea of video game creators, this is for you. It talks a little bit about the misogynism, sexism, and kind of awfulness that you can find in certain areas of the video game online community, but it also talks about how we can fight against it and how we can make inclusive games. And also, it has a really great ending. It's a queer romance, enemies to lovers, workplace. It is not they're not like enemies to... I talked a little bit about this, I think, when I was doing my review of Single Player. Enemies is a stretch. I would accept nemesis, maybe even rivals, but enemies just feels... In a contemporary setting, how can we really have enemies? Okay, we have enemies, I guess, in the Company of Killers, which has mafias branches that are fighting against each other. But in a workplace, like, are you really enemies? I just side-eye at that one. But honestly, I wanted to mention that one because I really enjoyed reading that one. A Broken Blade is on sale as well. If you have not read the Halfling Saga, you definitely should. I will link down below a blog post I did which talk about why you should pick this series up, specifically because An Honored Vow came out and I wanted to remind people why to pick the series up. But it talks about addiction, it talks about change, rebellion, and forgiveness. Oh, it is so good. I loved it. There were no books which made me feel like we were in this weird middle book limbo. It was just really great. Next one is on my TBR and on my shelf, which is I Want to Die, But I Want to Eat Tteokbokki. I Actually, wait, I think I have the sequel to this. These are really short kind of memoirs. I'm going to add it to my cart. I'm really intrigued by this one because I have the second one, I'm pretty sure, which was I Want to Die, But I Want to Eat Tteokbokki Again. I don't know. I'll have to check that one out. But it's definitely on my TBR. It's just one of those things where it's a part memoir, part self-help book. I'm really intrigued by this one, and I'm pretty sure I picked up the sequel to it. So this is in my cart, and I'm intrigued by it as well. Amari and the Night Brothers is on sale. It is one of my favorite new middle grade series. If you have someone who really is interested in magic, interested in kind of like magical investigations, magical bureaucracy, magical world, the world building in Amari and the Night Brothers is fantastic. I loved this book so much. I can't believe that I have not finished reading this series. There are 2 other books in this series. If you have a middle grade reader in your life, please give them Amari and the Night Brothers. Also give them Witchlings and a whole bunch of other middle grade books, which I should make a video about because I don't really talk about middle grade books enough on this channel, so putting a pin in that one. But Amari and the Night Brothers is really good. It starts off with her trying to find out more about her brother and about her brother's disappearance, and kind of takes her on this rabbit hole of supernatural and what was he doing in this world that we're not even really necessarily seeing all the time. Belladonna is on sale. It's the beginning of the Belladonna trilogy, so if you haven't read this one, you should definitely pick it up. I really loved kind of the romantic swoons, the romantic tension of Belladonna, because basically has to sort of make an alliance with death. I really enjoyed the supernatural element to the series. Belladonna probably is my favorite though. I talked a little bit about Wisteria and how let down I felt like in some respects, but Belladonna is such a great foundational series starter. It perfectly serves up gothic fantasy, gothic romance. It has kind of poisonings, it has death, and it has a really great kind of tension to it. Sweet Obsession is on sale. I mentioned this one because every month there are books that are on sale in the Dark Olympus series, and this month it is Sweet Obsession and Electric Idol. I have not read Sweet Obsession. This one has Poseidon and Icarus. They're just becoming like things that are going so far beyond the canon that I don't even know anymore. And that's obviously not the point of the Dark Olympus series anyway. It's not the point to stick straight to Greek mythology. I appreciate that. I just want obviously people to know that going into it. And that's on sale. XOXO by Axio is on sale. I have already mentioned in this video how much I love Axie's books. And XOXO is a really cute K-pop, there's a forbidden romance. One of the main characters is a classically trained cellist, and then she meets another character, and then who's going home to South Korea, and she kind of finds out that he is a K-pop star. That is such a cute setup, and they both have to figure out if a relationship and the other person is kind of worth derailing or changing their dreams. Elfie is on sale. I have not read actually the Gregory Maguire Wicked books. It's on my TBR, and Elfie is a prequel basically. I watched Wicked on a plane ride or plane trip, and so I'm kind of in the Wicked mentality right now, and so Elfie is in my cart, and I am very excited for that. So I also feel like my library hold at the Library of Elfie will never go through because it's a new release, and it's also hot on the trails of Wicked. Before the Coffee Gets Cold box set is on sale. It has 3 different books from the series. So if you like a vignette style, magical, sort of surreal book about different characters and the regrets that we have in our lives and the different journeys that we are on, you should read that one. It's super, super hyped. The Bear and the Nightingale, a book from forever ago, is on sale. It definitely is a book that has a winter-ish setting. When I think of this series, I think of winter. But basically, one of the main characters, they listen to fairy tales, and she listens to the story about the Frost, which is kind of this demon character. And then she goes into the forest, right? She tries to... Oh, yes. One of the really fun things that I loved about The Bear and the Nightingale is there's very much a conflict between these old tales, these old fantasies, these old demon characters, and also new things. I love this clash of kind of religions and faiths. So basically, her new stepmother has a different faith, different ideas, and so she banishes and stops them from being able to talk about these other spirits and talk about their old traditions. And so, because of that, there's going to be a change in the village, specifically from this stepmother. And so, the forest, and there's evilness in the forest, and the main character has to go back to the stories and also go back to her own spirits and her own traditions to kind of figure out how to save her village. We have also The Floating World, which is on sale. That is Axie's most recent fantasy book. It is really good. If you love this dichotomy between above ground and I guess below ground, I don't really know how to describe it because there is a literal floating world to it. It was a really great world, and I also love the characters having to question what they're being told and question whether or not they know everything. It's also a duology, and the sequel is coming out later this year, so you do not have to wait long for the sequel. The Eyes Are the Best Part is in my cart. That cover is terrifying, but the Eyes Are the Best Part is in my cart. The two, like the comp titles for this one is Crying in H Mart and My Sister the Serial Killer. Crying in H Mart is a book that I'm still listening to an audiobook, and I did read My Sister the Serial Killer I think last month. So I really like this idea of a feminist psychological horror and the making of a female serial killer. So I'm excited for this one. I've seen a lot of things about it, and it is in my cart for that reason. A Novel Love Story is also on sale. This is just a really cute romance. Ashley Poston has been writing a bunch of adult romances that I've really been loving, and basically she ends up finding herself in a town, which is the town of her favorite romance series, and starts to kind of figure out and get to know these people who she knew through the romance series, but also starts getting them to know them in real life. She kind of has to realize how to get them to the ending that she knows exists for them that hasn't happened yet. The Dalagoot Dream Department Store is on sale. It's about a store that sells dreams and about the characters that work in the store. There's also a sequel to this. And so it's on my TBR, and I'm excited for that. You might have seen it in my translated Asian fiction cozy fantasy video that I linked down below. The Hate U Give is on sale, which is such a classic book to me at this point. It is a book that has been adapted already, and basically our main character, she witnesses the shooting of her childhood best friend, and it becomes a headline, and everyone also has opinions about who he was, what he was doing, why he got shot, and so she has to figure out her own voice and her own ability to kind of give his story and his truth to the world. The Bone Witch, and I think also the whole series of The Bone Witch is on sale. So if you haven't read this series, please read it. It is fans for necromancy. It is fans for fantasy. It is such a great book that examines morality and ethics and right and wrong and what happens when the world kind of has these opinions of you. Do you play into that? Do you challenge that? What do you do? And it is such a fantastic book series. It's one of the few book series that I specifically bought a special edition set of the entire series. This one has been formative on me as a person, and I love this character's journey and character development over the series so much. Blood and Steel is on sale. I've talked about this a few different times. It's the first in the Legends of Thesmar series. If you've seen Iron and Embers recently going all across social media and you're interested in getting into this world in a sale audiobook form, listen to Blood and Steel. I've been listening to the audiobooks and actually own the whole series on audiobook. I've been listening to them. If you like a kind of classic fantasy elements but doesn't feel recycled, Blood and Steel is definitely one of those to me. She has kind of her death foretold to her, and she wants to become a warrior legend. It's not really a thing for women, but she finds a way to make that happen, and so now she has to train to be one of these guardians. I'm not really sure what they're called. I can't remember. Anyway, I'm not really sure what they're called, but she's kind of training to do that. She has coming up against her foretold death and what that means not only for her, but everyone around her. Last Chance to Save the World is on sale again. This is the third one in the Chaotic Orbit series. You just need to read books 1 and 2 because they all culminate in books 3. If you love heists, cozy, well, they're not really cozy. If you love heists, if you love bounty hunters who have a heart of gold but are trying to hide it, and if you love character tension and character romances, specifically also two unlikely characters who come together, who it's kind of like a bounty hunter who does things for good when she can, and also a guy who works for the government who is kind of like deeply illusioned by how good the government can do and how much good they can do. Chaotic Orbits is the series for you. How to End a Love Story is on sale. If you love unlikely romances where you're really not sure if they're going to work out, because how could they? How to End a Love Story is basically the main character's sister has died, and that happened in the past, and that has impacted herself and her whole family. And the other romance is, or the other romantic character is one of the people who was involved in the tragic accident where her sister died. Like, how do you get over that? How do your family get over that? But basically, he is a screenwriter. Her book is getting adapted, and he becomes a screenwriter for that project, and they have to come to terms with everything that happened in the past and how it has ultimately affected both of them. The Final Strife is on sale. I love Sarah El-Arifi's books. The Final Strife is fantastic. It is a book about finding out whether or not everything you know is true. If you can tell from this video, that is a huge theme, a huge thing that I love about these books. I love about books in general. And so for all 3 of these main characters, they all have to figure out not only their place in society, but whether or not the society they're part of is a society that they think it is. And finally, I just wanted to mention that the Hurricane Wars is still on sale or on sale again. I will leave my full review to that below because I had a lot of thoughts about this one, but basically it is an enemies to lovers fantasy romance. I really loved, especially in the Hurricane Wars, the world building, the political intrigue, and the having to figure out their magic. Those were the 3 strongest elements for me. I know that everyone talks about the romance. For me, it was the weakest in this one, but the strongest in A Monsoon Rising, which is the sequel. And that brings me to end this video. It has been 84 years since I started this video. I basically have no voice. And yeah, I hope you found a book that you're interested in. I have so many in my cart and will be purchasing those later today. I'm also sorry if you could hear the rustling, I don't know, of my skirt. I'm sorry about that if you could hear that. I'm trying out these new clothes where every day I'm trying to get dressed in new things to kind of figure out if I want to keep them, but that's a whole different, thing for a different video. Anyway, I hope that you found books that you're interested in. Let me know currently down below what your current audiobook read is. And I will see you in the next video. Have a really great rest of your reading day, week, month, and year. Bye.